in the show ring. Okay, so the reason that we're having you practice these drills is so that you know that you're in control of your pig and they're going to listen to you and do what you want them to do. So it's just one way for you to increase how well trained your animal is at home so that you're ready in the show ring. So, pretty simple deal. The cones are numbered. What Blaine is going to do before don't move, just pause. We'll talk kind of through it. So what Blaine's going to do is we're going to imagine that I am the judge. So Blaine is going to start kind of wide over here, okay? And so he's going to go ahead and get started, and he's going to drive from cone 1 towards cone 2, driving at the judge at an angle. He's going to get a little right here, go back towards cone 3, so now I have a rear angle. He's going to do an inside turn with his beach ball around cone 3. He's going to get to cone 4, and then he's going to drive straight at the judge. All right, so just in a few moments, I saw the front view, the rear view, the side view, and a direct front view again. All right, so our goal as showmen is to not just make really long passes back and forth in front of the judge. You can just keep running through. It's not to just keep running and making long passes back and forth in front of the judge. It's to show the judge, especially in showmanship, how well trained your animal is, and that you can fill in those empty spots in the show ring. You can show off all the views, all the angles of your animal, so that the judge just knows how much work you put in at home. So how many of you, raise your hand, think that your animals could do this today? Right? It's going to be kind of hard, especially some of your pigs won't keep moving. And that's the biggest thing. When you're home training, you need to practice. When you have them out, don't just let them stop and start when you're training. When you get them out to walk them, you're getting out to work them. All right? You are working those hogs. So anytime they leave the pen, you can stop. Anytime you leave the pen, game face on, getting those animals trained. You're not just stopping whenever you want to let them get a break, because that is a habit that they will get used to, so then when you're in the show ring, they'll want to start and stop, and we want to avoid that for you, all right? So, I'm going to have Blaine go back to the beginning, and if I'm the judge, yesterday we talked about not getting too far away from the judge, so I have Blaine kind of posted up a little far out here. Why is it good for Blaine to start? What can Blaine do as a showman from that far away? What can he see? So yes, Miss Tana.
So if Blaine starts further away from the judge, he can take a quick look at the whole ring and figure out where those open holes are so he can make a plan to get to those open holes while also showing all angles of his pig.
Yes, and if a bunch of pigs are coming this way and Blaine's out here, because he has his pig trained to either speed up or slow down, he can either get ahead of them, or he can walk a little further this way, get around the group, and then come at the judge. All right, so by being that far back, he's able to see where the other pieces are, where the other showmen are in the show ring, and then he can plan his attack. His goal as a showman is to spend as much one-on-one time in eye contact with the judge. Blaine's trying to make an impact on me out here. He wants me to remember who he is, and he wants the judge he wants to stand out. I mean, that's all showmanship is how much can you stand out and do the right things on the show ring. So if Blaine comes out in the first tee and he's making this V formation and he's showing me all his views and angles and I'm getting really good looks at his animal and we have major eye contact, I'm going to be looking for him in the next heats because I want to see what else that he can do. All right, so by starting a little wide, he's able to get a plan of attack, and then he can come on in again. Right, so he's staring me down, really staring me down. Love to see it. All right, going back. We're gonna do an inside turn, so turning in into your ease, doing a side view, and then he's driving straight at the judge. Now when Blaine gets back here, it's up to him to figure out what the next move he wants to make is. All right, and when you're in the show ring, it's not going to be a perfect V formation. It's just a good habit to get in to using the space that you have in front of you. Because yesterday, with only 7 pigs in the ring, there were a lot of you, your pigs kept clumping together, and that's because they probably wanted to be with their buds. Those pigs did, but our goal today, and we're going to really, really work on it, is we are going to use all of the show ring, and we're not going to run into other pigs in the show ring. There's more than enough space out here for you to not have to deal with other animals, okay? So we're going to really work on that, and we're going to really, 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 really work on our eye contact. All right? We're really going to work on our eye contact today. And I know that a lot of you know to look at us, but you're worried about what your pig is doing. So, once that animal is trained, you don't have to worry about that pig in the show ring. You shouldn't have to keep looking down to see them. So as they get bigger and you're working with them more and they get more familiar with being in a show ring, you don't have to worry about them quite as much. Okay, any questions about this V formation? Beautiful. We're going to go into crossovers now. So we're going to have Miss Bertha, Jessica. If you want to pull Bertha, and I will be the judge. So, we lost a counselor. I thought she just went over there to play, so it's fine. All right, so Bertha here is really great because she's going to listen to us. Well, we'll see. Loop it back down and pull from the bottom one. Thank you. You don't have to, you can just. It's Georgia, she knows. All right. So, Bertha's going to listen to us, and what we're going to practice is crossovers, and that means ways that if the judge is trying to get you to ruin that ham sandwich. So how many of you have been in a final drive where the judge tries to get you to cross over? They do a circle around you, trying to get you to mess up. It's a pretty common deal because that's a really easy way for the judge to sort out when it comes to those final drives. How's that going, Jessica? Great work. Hey now. All right, so we're going to practice these with Miss Bertha this morning, and what we're going to do before we get started, I'm going to be the judge and Blaine's our showman. First, before we start, when we're going through this, watch how calmly Blaine walks around the front of the animal and how calmly he steps around the back end of the animal, all right? So that is a huge note I want to make. So you can go ahead and start pulling. Okay, so as the judge, I'm going to do a circle around Blaine, and he's not going to break our ham sandwich. So right now, pause. I am just looking at the rear view of the pig. So the time that you walk around the front is when the judge crosses over to the other side of the animal. So there's a chance your judge is just trying to get a rear view. All right, so don't go around the front until the judge crosses all the way over. Okay, we'll do one round and then we'll go in more into depth. All right, get it moving. All right, Blaine. All right, slow step around the front. Nice and easy. Bertha can probably move a little faster. All right, and he's just gonna pop right around that rear end. All right, and again, nice and easy step around front. So, when the judge is doing circles, all Blaine is doing is calmly either stepping around the front or stepping around the rear.
Are comfortable with stuff moving around and different things happening because I don't know if any of you are like me, but I'm an only child. I don't have little siblings that I can make run around the hogs for me. I have cats and dogs, so I would drive the hogs around cats and dogs all day just to get them comfortable with something else besides me, or trees or buckets, something that doesn't move, something that's moving that is different to them. That's mainly the thing that will help when you're doing those figure eights for them to be comfortable with the judge moving and with you moving around them also.
Perfect. All right, does anybody have any questions? I know that was a lot, and believe me, there are so many miscellaneous challenges, and the one thing that comes out of, I'd say almost all of those besides the speaking on the mic, is it all comes down to how well you can control your animal. So it's not just stamina, it's control. When your pig is ready and you think it's showmanship ready, make sure you're ending your training day, you're working on your animal with some sort of figure eight, some sort of challenge to make sure they know that you are in control. So, does anybody have any questions? All right. Oh, yes, ma'am. You're gonna have to be real loud up there. Yep, so like Tana and I were saying, so if you're standing far from the gate, your goal is to just get in front of the judge as much as possible. So if there's a bunch of pigs in the ring and they're all going and you can't get turned around and come back, because right here it's going to be kind of difficult, right? If the judge is here, you're not going to be able to go here and turn around easily and then come back through. You're going to have to go around and keep circling around. So it's situation by situation, and your goal is just get in between the judge and the fence there as much as possible, all right? So we're going to stare them down when you go through. All right, any other questions? Yeah, here, what's up? When we're going to have the showmanship contest, that's going to start at 3 o'clock, but all right. So now that he just wrapped it up, which is totally fine, we're going to head into the classroom and we're going to
Their fingers across the back, and they just want to acknowledge that you paid attention, you know what they've done. I fully brush out, they brush off, acknowledge that you're saying this.
Nope, no brushing out.
Keep moving. And as soon as the judge away, then I might looks away, then I might do a one over real quick just to make sure I didn't miss anything and have them really clean.
Yeah, keep moving at all times, because that's really, it's not hard at all for you to keep driving, grab the brush, do it real quick, and like Jessica said, you're still maintaining the eye contact. The judge wants to see what you're going to do, how you're going to react to that situation. So as soon as you break eye contact, you can then do a quick one over to make sure that you got everything off of them. But it's more important the judge knows that you know what you're doing by just getting that brush out and starting the brush right now.
So my thing, the biggest, or one of the ones that I see that judges do a lot, and I've had it done to me, and I think it's fun to do too, is to get your pig to stop in the ring. So judges will say, stop your pig. The best thing I've found to do is drop in front of their head, let them chew on the end of your stick, let them chew on your brush, just anything, scratch them to keep them occupied and staying still. Practice this at home a lot. I would do this all the time when I was walking my pigs at home. But don't let them lay down. Don't let them get so comfortable that they just fall over and then you've got to work to try to get them back up. Also, if you are doing that, the judge can still move around in front of you or behind you. So keep that ham sandwich. Just kind of work your way around the pig so that you don't ever break that ham sandwich.
All right, we got a lot of these. All right, so another challenge that I have faced, the judge will open up the scales. If you have scales in your show ring, they'll open up both ends of the scale and say, all right, walk your pig across the scale. That's something to practice at home. Pigs don't really love a scale, even if you have, especially if you have a scale in the ring, you never really know what's going to happen in a show. But for me, it's just something I 1,000,000,000% recommend. If you have a scale at home and you're weighing your pig regularly, don't ever give a shot at a scale. Don't do anything that gives that animal a negative idea of what's going to happen in that scale. Because for us, we didn't have we had one of these pull downs that we had to have them as still as possible to get the correct weight. So we want them to be nice and relaxed in there. The first few times, it's a stressful scenario, but we weighed our pigs weekly, and so that's just something. Don't do anything negative in those scales, no shots, no medication, nothing, because you don't want them to have a negative connotation of what going into the scale means, especially because it's no fun when I've seen it, like they get up to the scale and then nobody's there to help them, and they run all the way down, and the Arizona National show ring is like twice as long as this show ring, and it was quite an ordeal, and the girl felt a little embarrassed, I'm sure. So practice moving them through small spaces, and that will go too with what Tana had originally talked about.
Another situation, particularly in older showmanship divisions that judges may put your top exhibitors in, is they may ask them to answer a question on the microphone. A lot of people get anxiety when it comes to public speaking. I'm not one of those people, But some people do, and that's totally fine. So there's a handful of key things that we have to keep in mind when it comes to talking on a mic. First things first, make sure that you answer the question. So if the judge asks you, what is your favorite part about showing pigs? Don't talk about the football game you went to last week. Make sure that you answer the question that the judge was given. When it comes to the microphone, Kaylee likes to put it on her chin, which works out swimmingly because then you're not talking way too close to it. If you put it on your chin, you're about to set yourself up for success that it's not going to be too loud or too soft. Another thing is you want to make sure that you are addressing the crowd and you're not talking like this or talking to the corner. And the third thing I would say when it comes to talking on the microphone is to just, if you are not comfortable public speaking, keep your answer short and sweet. That's no problem at all. If you are comfortable public speaking, by all means, answer the question with a 5-paragraph essay. I guess what I'm getting at is, don't let the microphone scare you. The judge really, they just want to hear your answer to whatever question they ask. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a very open-ended, very simple question.
Just to add on to that, so I do not like public speaking. I am an introvert, and a lot of you probably are too, and you may not believe me because I've been talking in front of you all weekend. But the reason that I started putting the mic on my chin is, one, I heard a lot of people, I'd see them, and they'd have the mic all the way down here, and most of the time, they're not as loud as I am, so you couldn't hear a single answer that you had to say. And two, if you're nervous and maybe your hand's a little shaky, holding it here kind of steadies that. But just to add on to what Tana said, the judge is asking you an opinion-based question almost always on the mic, and that's because they want to see your public speaking skills, they want to see what you can do. They're not trying to embarrass you. They're trying to push you outside of your comfort zone, all right? So the first time I had to speak on the mic was in a showmanship class. And parents, I've talked that I am an emotional person. Some of you saw me cry about Alan Trebek recently. But I have cried on a microphone at World Pork Expo, and it was incredibly embarrassing, and I had to take a breather and restart, all right? So, just stay nice and calm. The question was, who's my biggest role model in the industry? If you're not emotional about the person that you look up to, reevaluate, all right? You love that person, and you're thankful for them. So I just had to take a breather and get started again. But for Tana, like if this was the line of people and the judge gets off the mic, what you're going to do is you're going to step forward. You're going to separate yourself from the other line of people, and then just do your best from there.
The next thing that I've had happen to me several times is the judge will say, or come up and take your whip from you, take the whip from everyone in the ring, and you just gotta use your hands, your brush, whatever you have with you. And so I would take out my brush, and that's when I would worry more about just getting the pig going and moving, and worry less about the head. You're gonna have a hard time getting the head up, getting the pig moving, if you just have your hands or a brush. So just make long passes, just get those side views in while you can, and just go from there. But the biggest thing I would say is personally, don't worry about the head in that situation.
Yeah, get them going.
So I've never had to deal with this before, but I've seen it happen. I'm actually in California. I'm at the Stanislaus County Fair. The judge actually drew a big circle in the middle of the ring. He called about 6 people into that ring. He had you stop the pigs. Then he would just bolt through, and you had to do your crossovers and make sure you have the ham sandwich. That was a big one. And then really quick, I'm gonna say another one. But he also had, this ring had 2 gates. He had an entrance and an exit. He actually had them walk around the ring with the gates open, and you had to stay in a single file line. You couldn't pass anyone, and you couldn't have anyone pass you. So that's a very tricky one, in the top 5 on a major show, but that one's kind of tricky, but that one's a lot of fun too, so.
Alright, I've had this one done several times to me. This is where practicing your figure eights comes in handy. I've had judges bring the sorting boards like we have in the ring here, put 2 of them out in the middle of the ring, and you have to do figure eights through those sorting boards while the judge is running circles around you, so making you do your crossovers and not break your ham sandwich. I've had it done with sorting boards, and I've had it done with people, and I've had it done with bags of shavings. It's a really popular one, especially at some of the smaller jackpot shows. shows where they can spend a little more time. But that goes to practicing at home, practicing your figure eights, and also letting that hog be aware of